The next morning, the first rays of sunlight slowly entered the royal chamber of Umoisi Kingdom. Queen Aquago opened her eyes and looked around the room. For a few seconds she forgot where she was. Then she remembered everything. Previous night, the king, his words, his unusual kindness, and the way he had told her that she was the first woman who had ever made him feel like he was not a king, but simply a man in love. Aquago smiled softly. But the smile disappeared when she remembered her sister. Wait. She immediately sat up. My sister, she whispered. The king was still sleeping beside her. Aquago carefully stood up, trying not to wake him. But before she could reach the door, the king opened his eyes. Where are you going? Aquago turned around. Your Highness, I want to see my sister. The king slowly sat up. You were going to leave without saying goodbye? I didn't want to disturb you. You could never disturb me. Aquago smiled. I will return soon. The king looked at her for a moment. Promise me. I promise. Aquago left the chamber. But outside the room someone was watching. It was Mirimma. Her eyes followed Aquago as she walked toward her sister's room. She is becoming too comfortable, Mirimma whispered. And the king is becoming completely blind because of her. She clenched her fists. But that will not last forever. Inside the other section of the palace, Awake was sitting quietly. She had barely slept. Something about the previous night troubled her. She knew Mirimma had been planning something. She knew the palace was full of secrets. And she knew that her sister was now standing directly between Mirimma and the king. Suddenly the door opened. Aquago entered. Awake! Her sister immediately stood. Aquago! The two sisters embraced. I was worried about you, Awake said. Why? You stayed in the king's chamber all night. Aquago lowered her eyes. The king asked me to stay. Awake smiled. And? Aquago hesitated. He was kind to me. That is good. But something feels strange. What do you mean? Aquago sat beside her. The king told me that he has never felt love like this before. Awake smiled. Then why are you afraid? Because I am afraid that happiness inside this palace never lasts. Awake became serious. You are right. Aquago looked at her. What happened? I don't know. But I feel as if someone is watching us. Before Aquago could answer, someone knocked on the door. Both sisters looked toward it. A palace servant entered. Queen Awake, Queen Aquago, breakfast has been prepared. Awake nodded. Thank you. The servant left. Neither sister noticed that a small piece of cloth had fallen from the servant's hand. A piece of cloth carrying the royal embroidery of Queen Mirimma. Outside, Mirimma was waiting. She watched the servant return. Did you do exactly what I told you? Yes, my queen. Good. Mirimma smiled. Now the real game begins. She had secretly taken a piece of Aquago's clothing. At the same time, one of Awake's personal ornaments had disappeared. The plan was simple. Grandmother had asked her to bring something belonging to both sisters. And Mirimma had done exactly that. That evening, Mirimma secretly left the palace. She covered herself with a dark shawl and traveled to the grandmother's shrine. When she arrived, the old woman was waiting. You came. Yes, grandmother. Did you bring them? Mirimma opened a small cloth bag. I brought something belonging to Aquago. Then she produced another item. And something belonging to Awake. The grandmother examined both carefully. Good. What will you do with them? The old woman smiled mysteriously. Nothing that will hurt them physically. Then what? I will make their minds question each other. Mirimma looked confused. How? People do not need evidence to destroy a relationship. Then what do they need? Doubt. Mirimma's eyes widened. Doubt. Yes. The grandmother placed both items beside a small wooden bowl. Tomorrow, these two sisters will begin to notice strange things. Will they fight? Not immediately. Then what happens? They will begin questioning each other. And after that, They will begin hiding things from each other. And finally, the grandmother looked directly into her eyes. They will stop trusting each other. Mirimma smiled. That is exactly what I want. But remember, the grandmother warned, once you begin this, you may not be able to control what happens. I don't care. You should. Mirimma stood. I need Aquago out of my way. The grandmother looked at her. And what about the king? I will deal with him after the sisters are separated. The grandmother nodded slowly. Then go. Back in the palace, the king was sitting with Aquago. They were having dinner together. For the first time, Aquago noticed something unusual. The king looked tired. Your Highness, are you all right? I am fine. You don't look fine. The king smiled. You worry too much. Aquago reached for his hand. I am your wife. I am allowed to worry. The king looked at her lovingly. That is exactly what I like about you. Suddenly a palace guard entered. Your Highness. Yes. There is an urgent matter. What happened? The royal treasury clerk has reported that an important document is missing. The king's expression changed. What document? The document containing the royal succession records. Aquago immediately became serious. Where was it kept? In the private royal archive. Who had access? The guard hesitated. The queens and senior palace officials. The king stood. Find it. Yes, Your Highness. The guard left. Aquago looked worried. Why would anyone steal such a document? I don't know. Could it be Mirimma? The king looked at her. Why do you suspect her? Aquago immediately shook her head. I didn't say she did it. But you thought it. Aquago became silent. The king sighed. I am not angry with you. I know. But you must be careful. With what? People in this palace. Aquago nodded. I understand. The next morning Awake woke up early. She reached for her favorite necklace. It was gone. She searched everywhere. Under the bed. Inside her clothes chest. Around the room. Nothing. Then Aquago entered. What are you searching for? My necklace. The one Mama gave you. Yes. Aquago helped her search. Suddenly Awake looked at her sister suspiciously. Did you take it? Aquago froze. What? My necklace. Why would I take it? I don't know. Aquago looked hurt. You think I would steal from you? No. But you just asked me. I am confused. Aquago turned away. Forget it. Awake immediately regretted her words. Aquago, wait. But Aquago walked away. For the first time in their lives, the two sisters separated while angry with each other. From a nearby corridor, Mirimma watched and smiled. That was easier than I expected. But she did not know that someone else had seen her. The palace clerk. He had noticed Mirimma standing outside the sisters' room. He quietly followed her. Mirimma entered her private chamber. The clerk stopped outside. He heard her speaking. Everything is going exactly as planned. The clerk's eyes widened. He immediately left. But he did not know that Mirimma had seen him through the mirror. She smiled. So you are listening. Later that day, the king summoned the palace clerk. What did you discover? The clerk bowed. Your Highness, I am afraid there is something strange happening inside the palace. Speak. I saw Queen Mirimma near Queen Awake's room early this morning. The king's expression became serious. What was she doing? I don't know. Did you see her enter? No, Your Highness. Then do not accuse her without evidence. Yes, my king. The king dismissed him. But his mind was no longer at peace. Meanwhile, Aquago sat alone in her room. She kept thinking about what had happened. My own sister suspected me. Tears filled her eyes. She knows I would never do such a thing. Suddenly someone entered. It was the palace servant. Queen Aquago. Yes. I found this near Queen Awake's room. He handed her a small cloth. Aquago recognized it immediately. It belonged to her. She stared at it. Where did you find this? Near your sister's room. Aquago became confused. Why would my cloth be there? I don't know, my queen. He left. Aquago held the cloth tightly. For the first time, a dangerous thought entered her mind. Could my sister have taken something from my room? She immediately rejected the thought. No. She would never do that. But doubt had already entered her heart. That night, Awake also received something. A palace maid brought her a small box. Inside was her missing necklace. Awake stared at it. But there was something else inside. A small piece of paper. It contained only one sentence. Ask your sister where she found this. Awake's heart began beating faster. She immediately remembered the argument. Aquago knows something. She stood. But before she could leave, the king entered. What happened? Awake quickly hid the paper. Nothing, your highness. The king studied her face. You are hiding something. No. Awake. She looked down. I am only tired. The king nodded. Then rest. After he left, Awake opened the paper again. She stared at the words. Then she whispered, Aquago. At that exact moment, Aquago was standing in her own room holding the piece of cloth. Both sisters were thinking about each other. Both sisters were hurt. And neither knew that someone was deliberately creating the distance between them. Meanwhile, Mirimma stood on the balcony of her chamber. She looked toward the king's room. Her smile slowly returned. Tomorrow, she whispered, they will fight. But behind her, the palace clerk was watching again. This time he was holding something in his hand. A small royal seal. The same seal used on official palace documents. And he had found it inside Mirimma's chamber. He whispered to himself, Your Majesty must know about this. Before he could leave, a voice came from behind him. Where do you think you're going? The clerk froze. He slowly turned around. Mirimma was standing there. Her face was calm. But her eyes were dangerous. You have been following me. The clerk swallowed. My queen. You saw something you were not supposed to see. I saw nothing. Mirimma stepped closer. Then why are you shaking? The clerk said nothing. Mirimma smiled. Be careful. She walked past him. But the clerk knew something now. The queen was hiding something. And he also knew that whatever she was planning could destroy the entire royal family. The next morning, he decided to tell the king everything. But before he reached the king's chamber, he was stopped by 2 palace guards. The king has ordered that nobody disturb him. The clerk looked confused. Who gave this order? The queen. Which queen? The guards exchanged glances. Queen Mirimma. The clerk's heart sank. He understood. Mirimma was already several steps ahead. Inside the royal chamber, the king woke up. Aquago was beside him. He looked at her and smiled. But Aquago did not smile back. What is wrong? Nothing. You are upset. I am fine. The king touched her hand. Aquago. She looked into his eyes. Your Highness, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you trust me? The king immediately answered. With my life. Aquago's eyes filled with tears. Then I have one more question. What? If someone tried to separate me from my sister, would you believe me if I told you it was happening? The king became silent. He slowly realized that something was terribly wrong inside the palace. And somewhere outside that room, Mirimma was waiting for the next move. Because the battle had only just begun. And this time it was no longer about winning a cooking competition. It was about control of the throne, the king's heart, the royal family, and the future of the entire Umoisi Kingdom. Aquago looked directly into the king's eyes. If someone tried to separate me from my sister, would you believe me if I told you it was happening? The king remained silent for a few seconds. Then he gently held her hand. I would believe you. Aquago released a breath she did not realize she had been holding. But tell me what happened. Aquago looked toward the door. I don't know exactly what is happening. But something has changed. What changed? My sister. The king frowned. Awake. Yes. She has never treated me differently before. But yesterday she accused me of taking her necklace. Did you take it? Of course not. The king nodded. I know. Aquago looked surprised. You believe me that easily. I have watched you since you came into this palace. You don't lie easily. Aquago smiled faintly. But I also found something strange in my room. What? A piece of cloth belonging to me was found near my sister's room. The king became serious. Who found it? A palace servant. Did you see the servant again? No. The king stood. Then something is wrong. Before Aquago could say anything, there was a knock. A palace guard entered. Your Highness, the palace council requests your presence. I will come. The guard bowed and left. The king turned toward Aquago. Stay here. Aquago nodded. But as the king walked away, she noticed something. The guard who had entered was not one of the king's usual guards. She remembered his face. He had been standing near Mirimma's chamber the previous night. Aquago's heart began beating faster. Something was definitely wrong. Meanwhile, Awake was sitting alone in her chamber. She placed the necklace on the table. She stared at it. Her mind was full of questions. Why had the necklace disappeared? Why had it suddenly returned? And why had someone written that strange message? She wanted to believe her sister. But the doubt had already entered her heart. Suddenly someone knocked. Who is it? It is me. Mirimma's voice. Awake stood. Come in. Mirimma entered slowly. My dear Awake, you look troubled. I am fine. No, you are not. Awake looked at her. Why are you here? I came because I heard about your missing necklace. Awake's expression changed. Who told you? The palace servants talk. Mirimma sat beside her. I understand how painful it must feel. It is nothing. Nothing. Mirimma smiled gently. You and your sister have always been close. Awake became silent. Mirimma continued. But sometimes people change after entering the palace. Awake looked at her. What do you mean? Nothing. Tell me. Mirimma sighed. I shouldn't say this. Say it. I have noticed that Aquago has become very different since the king started favoring her. Awake frowned. My sister hasn't changed. I hope you're right. What are you trying to say? Mirimma stood. Nothing, Awake. Forget I said anything. She walked toward the door, then stopped. But remember one thing. What? Not everyone who smiles at you is happy for you. Left. Awake remained frozen. The words stayed in her mind. Not everyone who smiles at you is happy for you. For the first time, Awake wondered whether Mirimma knew something she didn't. At the palace council chamber, the king sat on his throne. Several senior officials stood before him. Among them was the palace clerk. The clerk looked nervous. The king noticed. What is it? The clerk stepped forward. Your Highness, I found something. What? The clerk placed the royal seal on the table. The king immediately recognized it. That is the royal archive seal. Yes, my king. Where did you find it? The clerk hesitated. Inside Queen Mirimma's chamber. The room became silent. The king's face hardened. Are you accusing one of my queens? No, your Highness. Then explain. I am only reporting what I found. The king picked up the seal. Did anyone else know about this? No. Good. The king stood. Do not tell anyone. Yes, your Highness. I will investigate this myself. The council members bowed. But none of them noticed the shadow standing outside the chamber. Mirimma. She had heard everything. Her face remained calm. But inside panic had begun. The clerk, she whispered. He knows. She immediately returned to her chamber. She called for her personal guard. Find the clerk. Yes, my queen. Do not hurt him. The guard looked surprised. Then what should we do? Bring him to me. Yes, my queen. Mirimma sat down. She knew the situation was becoming dangerous. The king was beginning to suspect her. The clerk knew too much. And the sisters were not yet completely separated. She needed a new plan. A much bigger plan. That evening, Aquago went to find Awake. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again. Awake. The door opened. Awake stood there. What do you want? Aquago immediately noticed her sister's cold expression. I came to talk. About what? About yesterday. Awake looked away. I don't want to fight with you. Neither do I. Then why did you accuse me? Awake became silent. Aquago continued. You know me better than anyone. I know. Then why? Awake looked at her. Because I was scared. Scared of what? That I might lose you. Aquago's expression softened. You will never lose me. Awake began crying. I don't know what is happening. Aquago hugged her. I don't either. The two sisters held each other. For a moment everything seemed normal again. But neither of them noticed the small figure outside the room. Palace maid. She was watching them. Then she quietly walked away. She returned to Mirimma. My queen. What happened? They made peace. Mirimma's eyes narrowed. What? The sisters are together again. Mirimma stood angrily. No. Yes, my queen. How? I don't know. Mirimma walked back and forth. Then suddenly she stopped. Bring me the necklace. The maid handed it to her. Mirimma looked at it carefully. Tomorrow this necklace will be found somewhere else. Where? In Aquago's room. The maid's eyes widened. My queen. Do it. Yes, my queen. Meanwhile, inside the king's chamber, the king was thinking about the royal seal. He knew something was wrong. He also knew he could not accuse Mirimma without evidence. Suddenly Aquago entered. My king. He looked at her. Come here. She sat beside him. Did you speak with your sister? Yes. And? We are fine. The king smiled. Good. Aquago looked at him. Your Highness, I need to tell you something. What? I think someone is trying to destroy my relationship with my sister. I believe you. But I don't know who. The king looked at her seriously. I have my suspicions. Who? Not yet. Aquago nodded. Then the king reached into a drawer. He pulled out the royal seal. Aquago immediately recognized it. Where did you get that? I found it. Where? The king hesitated. Inside Mirimma's chamber. Aquago's eyes widened. Mirimma? Yes. But why would she have the royal archive seal? That is what I intend to find out. Aquago became worried. My king, please be careful. You should be the one being careful. Why? Because if someone is willing to manipulate your sister, they may eventually try to harm you. Aquago looked frightened. The king took her hand. I will protect you. But neither knew that their conversation had been overheard. Behind the partially closed door stood the same palace maid. She heard everything. And within minutes Mirimma knew. The king found the seal. Mirimma's grandmother was summoned secretly that night. When Mirimma arrived at the shrine, the old woman immediately noticed her fear. What happened? The king knows. Knows what? He found the royal seal. The grandmother became serious. Then you must move carefully. I need something stronger. Stronger. I need Aquago gone. The grandmother stared at her. You are becoming reckless. I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. Not anymore. The grandmother sighed. What do you want me to do? I want something that will make the king doubt Aquago. The grandmother remained silent. Then she said, there is one way. What way? But once you use it, there is no turning back. I am ready. The grandmother looked deeply into her eyes. You must create a secret that looks as if Aquago herself is hiding it from the king. What kind of secret? One involving her past. Mirimma's eyes widened. Her past? Yes. Her family? Exactly. Mirimma smiled. I know where to begin. The next morning Aquago woke early. She decided to visit her mother. She needed advice. She left the palace quietly. But she did not know someone was following her. Palace guard. He watched as she traveled toward her old village. When Aquago reached the village, she found her mother sitting outside the family home. Mother! Her mother immediately smiled. My daughter. They embraced. I have missed you. And I have missed you. Her mother looked at her carefully. You seem worried. I am. Is it the palace? Aquago nodded. There are people trying to create problems between me and Awake. Her mother sighed. I warned you that palace life would not be easy. I know. Then her mother looked around. There is something you need to know. What? Before you married the king, someone came here asking questions about your family. Aquago froze. Who? I don't know. What did they ask? They wanted to know about your childhood. Why? I don't know. Aquago became worried. Mother, did you tell them anything? No. Suddenly a voice came from outside. Queen Aquago. Aquago turned. The palace guard stood there. Your Highness, you must return to the palace immediately. Why? The king has summoned you. Aquago's heart sank. What happened? The guard lowered his voice. There has been a serious accusation against you. Aquago froze. What accusation? The guard looked away. They found Queen Awake's necklace. Aquago waited. Inside your room. Her face turned pale. That is impossible. The guard continued. And the king has ordered that nobody leave the palace until he discovers the truth. Aquago stood completely still. Someone had placed the necklace in her room. Someone wanted the king to believe she had betrayed her own sister. And somewhere inside the palace, Mirimma smiled. But what Mirimma did not know was that the king had already discovered another piece of evidence. Hidden message. And the handwriting on that message belonged to someone very close to her. The palace was about to explode. And before the sun went down, one person would be exposed.